Have you ever thought about surviving?
In what context?
In every context.
You mean out in the cold, cold Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, what if somebody left you out there?
What if men stole me?
What if men took you away, far, far away?
I don't think I would do it well.
I
Into
I-
Buffalo country?
I also feel as this way, such as also. And also you were 11-ish?
You said tiny little
10-ish?
hands?
Yeah.
I know. Spoiler alert. At one point, this book, her dad is like, you made a little, like, we found a little, like, tent with, like, made with tiny little hands. I'm like, you're right. She is like a child.
He's like, I found those rocks stacked.
Yeah, the Karen, what's it called? A Karen War?
The little Karen, yeah.
The Karen, yeah.
Yeah, and then she's like, how did you know?
He's like,
And
tiny hands.
He's like, oh, the hands of a small woman such as you. And I was like, okay, she's itty bitty.
I gotta say,
Yeah.
this is entirely Kaya's fault.
This one's, yeah. It was hard to be on her side.
She really deserves her nickname, unfortunately.
She was like, I will never make a mistake again in my whole life. However, I'm thinking that I might exclusively make mistakes.
I might make the biggest mistake possible.
And then even once that mistake happens, what if I kept making mistakes that kind of inconvenienced people around me and my life? Cool?
Guys, we read Kaya's Escape.
And the book was insane.
Yeah, we read 2 at a time sometimes, so we read Kaya's Escape and Kaya's Hero right now. And oh boy, no one told us about these.
No. Did you guys know about this?
Do you guys know that Kaya really goes off the wall insanity?
Okay, because I feel like, we've had a good visceral reaction to a couple of the books.
Yes.
In particular, like with Kirsten, changes
Janet
book,
Shaw, guys.
having like a little dead guy.
Yeah.
Also, she, like her best friend also dies, but it's not as like dramatic.
Janet really does like to pull a punch, doesn't she?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, they really let her cook.
Yeah.
Here. And cook she did.
Oh,
so
yes.
I fear we've much ground to cover.
Oh, yes. Should we just get into it?
Let's get into it.
All right, let's do it.
All right, guys. Chapter 1, Taken Captive.
Easy.
Easy. So actually what's that title is exactly what's going to happen here. Yeah. So it's summertime right now. And we've moved on to a new home where they've met up with a branch of Kaya's mom's family. So they're spending time with them, gathering berries and foraging and prepping for the winter to come. And the men are off hunting. And they'll come back from their hunt later, but they're going to be gone for a while.
So it's women and children right now.
Women and children only.
Uh-oh.
And so, Kaya and the village girls are spending their days gathering berries, making merriment, having fun. And Kaya is sneaking a couple berries as like a snack.
A little treat.
Well, and okay.
Who among us wouldn't,
I was going to say, I have to be honest with you, although, again, she literally learned the finger cake story.
Yeah.
And then did the finger cake story.
She doesn't really take things in. I think we're learning.
So the Peek into the Past, this one talks about how so much of like the moral like storytelling and stuff is like passed down like through like oral history and like legends and stuff like that. And I was like, I fear Kaya hears all of them and it's like, well, that doesn't apply to me though.
But I'm smarter than that. I'm smarter than that coyote.
This will never happen to me.
That couldn't be me, Kaya. So,
couldn't be me.
As she lives out a legend, exactly.
As everything continues to happen and she becomes the moral of the story. Anyway, little Fawn, another little girl, sees Kaya sneaking the berries and is like, ooh, look at the magpie sneaking berries again. Ha ha. So the nickname's not gone. We've not lived down the name yet.
She's like, how could I live this down? What do I have to do?
It's still hanging on.
Certainly not be selfish.
And apparently, like, every day she gets called this.
Yeah, I get it.
So it's like, also, tiny community of people. She hasn't been, like, brave.
There is yeah, she's been brave enough. There's a guy in my, like, 4th grade when I was 9, so when I was Kaya's age, who started calling me Beaver because I have big front teeth, It's part of my character, but I also had an overbite at the time. But I do have just slightly large teeth, too. And then all the guys could call me Beaver, even though I was crying and asked them to stop. So sometimes
nicknames it is evil. Kids are tough.
He'd be like, shut up, Beaver. And I was like...
You'd be like, haha.
I'm like, haha, it hurts so bad.
Oh, my God.
Like,
I hope this doesn't linger on in my life in any way.
It's okay.
It's okay. Oh, my God.
And then I forgot about it. And then in freshman year of high school, I was in art class, and this girl was like, hey, Caroline. I was like, yeah. She goes, are you going to get your front teeth shaved down?
Oh.
And I was like, no. And she's like, oh, okay.
Isn't that crazy? It's crazy because Okay, because even if you're, like, having that thought as a child, like, were people not taught, like, inside thoughts? I was just really taught inside thoughts
Oh, I
when
think she was genuinely just trying to be very mean.
well, yeah, I mean, that as well, but I think it's just one of those things where I'm just like, when I have an evil thought, I just bury it away in my head.
Yeah.
Unless I hate that person, in which case, perhaps you were being targeted.
I think I was a little bullied.
Yeah,
So I understand Kaya.
could be. You're
But
like,
mine was
I
only
connect.
appearance-based, not selfish-based.
Yeah, you weren't, I don't know, consistently fucking up in your
Consistently going
community
for the shiniest thing I could find.
in a way, and then being mad that people called you a nickname that was actually
Apropos
fitting
of it.
of your behavior. So then we get a whole rehashing of the last book because it's an American Girl book and we have to. And eventually, she goes and she drops her berry basket off, and she goes and we meet Katsua.
Mhm.
Katsua.
Katsua, I think.
Which is Kaya's mom, her grandmother.
Which I was confused by at first because I was like, wasn't the word for grandma like Ale? But I guess it's like.
And I think that's the.
So you think there's a different word for my dad's mom?
I do think
That's
so.
interesting. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, I guess it's kind of like how you like. I had a lot of grandparents because of divorces.
Yeah.
And so we had Nana, we had Grandma, we had Grandmom. And so we had like slightly different names so that you could distinguish them.
Yeah.
And like Papa.
Yeah, like
and...
I only have two. I have Oma and Mimi, but then
Yeah.
my great grandmothers I called Nani and Nana, and then Thelma. So
Classic Thelma.
yeah, you know.
So yeah, this is her mom's mom. We're in mom's family.
Yeah, mom's family land here. So she is talking to her, and she's like, can we sleep outside tonight? It's hot. It's so hot. And I think Speaking Rain and I will be like more comfortable outside of the teepee. And Katsua is like, no, it's too unsafe outside. You'll be fine inside the teepee.
We need to be close.
Yeah, you need to stay close. Just because like if something happens, we need to all be like near each other, i.e. like raiders.
Because they're just a bunch of ladies out in the
They're
field.
just a bunch of ladies and they're vulnerable. So they go to bed and it's the middle of the night and the dogs that they have,
them dogs keep barking.
start barking. Bark City, yap, yap, yap. And oops, that's because raiders are in fact in the camp.
As was foretold.
They are in fact in the camp. It does seem a little interesting to me that you wouldn't leave like anybody behind for defense.
Yeah.
But I also understand that this is a child's book.
Yeah.
So, far be it from me.
Yeah, but I agree with you. It feels a little bit like you're setting up a very vulnerable situation if there's not like 2 or 3 like scoutsmen just keeping an eye on the area.
Yes.
You know?
Especially since like in the next book we learn a lot. Well, there's scouts in this book as well, but then like the runners too who are like running back and forth to like the different like settlements to like talk about the thing that happens in that book. I was like, feels like we should have maybe had like a runner or two at the ready. In case
Coulda,
this,
woulda, shoulda, I guess.
Yeah. So everybody is like rushing. It's a panic. It's a madhouse. Everybody is darting to the woods. And Kaya is explicitly told to run with Speaking Rain, her blind sister, to the woods directly. And that's it. And go hide there until the coast is clear.
And that's what she does, and everyone stays safe and the book ends, right?
Yeah, and that's why this is the shortest book in the American Girl series.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks, guys. I'm sorry this one was boring.
Share this.
Share this with somebody you would listen to and follow the rules with. But Kaya sees that the raiders are honing in on the horses because basically the raiders will raid for a couple different reasons. One, to show like power and just like attack generally and beef with like the other men. To steal and like pillage. To like take stuff to have to trade. In this case, the horses, because they have like a big old beautiful horse herd. So yes, she sees the raiders headed for the horses. That of course includes Steps High. And it's over for her. She pulls her and Speaking Rain over there instead.
Yeah, she's like, not the woods, actually.
I'm like, honestly, I understand Speaking Rain is blind. Yeah. So I do understand why she gets dragged along. But it does bother me from the perspective of
everything that happens.
Because you could have hidden her off and then gone after the horse, bringing her with you into the chaos when she can't see and defend herself. is
It's terrible.
cruel.
This is a really bad decision.
It is a really awful decision.
I can't believe, also looking ahead a little bit, she is in more trouble for doing this.
Okay,
For losing a whole
we're
ass
gonna
person.
have to unpack it because they really like
don't feel bad.
let her move on from it. And I was like,
I know
she got more punished for fucking racing her horse than she does for losing her sister. So write that down. So anyway, we do see Swan circling, and she's gonna be important in the next book. One of the women in the village, and she is fighting off a raider with her digging stick.
Yeah, she's
and
cool.
She's a baddie.
Yeah.
She's gonna stand her ground. And of course, because they're children and this is a raid, they don't even really make it to the horse. She's running.
They almost get trampled.
They're running around. They're trying to dodge being caught. Arrows are swing through the air. And they're caught.
Yeah, they're grabbed.
Kaya is described as like her hair being like grabbed and yanked up, and she's yanked up onto a horse.
Can you imagine being yanked up on a horse by your hair?
No. Oh my god. So she's yanked up, and then they also grab Speaking Rain, and they're put up on the backs of these horses with these men, and they ride out of camp.
Taken.
That should have been the name if we were following the naming scheme of these books.
Taken.
Grabbed. Snatched. So they run out of the village, and they're on this long trail, and they're navigating all of these like tight little mountain passes and stuff, and Kaya is trying to stay awake, but she's falling asleep and she's getting tired. And then the man whose like horse she's riding on will like hit her to keep her awake.
Yeah.
And like when they do stop, like she notices that like they try to offer buffalo meat to Speaking Rain, but then they realize that like she's not being receptive, so they like wave their hands in front of her face, and Kaya can tell that like they're getting disgruntled, like realizing that like one of the children they've just taken
is blind.
Which,
if this was an adult book, she'd be killed. Like,
yeah,
right
they
would
would
abandoned.
Yes, yeah. Correct, 100%. The craziest part I think of this chapter is the first bit potentially of suicidal ideation.
Oh yeah.
In an American Girl book. Because at one point they're walking like along a really like narrow crevasse where Kaya's like, if I fell from here, I would like surely die. And she's like, well, I could just throw myself off this horse and die and spare myself this fate. And I was like, oh, okay.
Hey, kid.
Hey. And then she's like, just kidding. I need to stay brave.
For Speaking Rain
needs me. Yeah.
Well, there's also like Katsu's horse falls and dies. Yes. Which was kind of a bummer. They're like through this narrow crevasse, and Kaya notices that Katsu's horse is like having trouble, and she's like hoping that like the horse will keep its footing, and the horse loses its footing, and it just describes a horse clambering into like a valley and crumpling in a heap at the bottom.
Yeah, it's not good.
And I'm like, oh no.
It's tough. It's tough. So, when they finally do stop, so Katsua's horse dead. Yeah. Finally at one point they like stop and they like let the horses get like water and stuff like that. And when Kaya gets a chance to see Steps High again, she can see that like she's bleeding and cut up and like pretty worse for the wear, which obviously makes her very upset. Yeah. But like basically like there's nothing she can do for now. She's like, I can't run over there for now. And she realizes that the raiders are speaking a language that she doesn't understand.
It's a southern
tongue.
Yeehaw.
And eventually they get into the camp. Or no, that's in the next chapter. I'm jumping ahead. These two chapters kind of blended together for me. But basically they stop for the night. She sees that her horse is in bad shape. She sees that they're disgusted with Speaking Rain. She's disgusted with herself and her decision. But honestly, I don't think enough.
No, she's kind of acting like she forgot like a grocery.
It feels like
I can't believe I did that.
I do think that
silly me.
That tonally, the only thing I think is missing a little bit from these books is a little bit more like genuine like angst from Kaya about the actual thing that's wrong. And I know she's a kid.
Yeah.
But I am more like we have to be more shaken by this.
If I was a kid and I lost my brother somewhere, I feel like I wouldn't be like, oh, I can't believe I did that. Oopsie.
If you got you and your brother kidnapped,
Yeah.
and then your beloved family pet was being like harmed
Mm-hmm.
on this like trail,
Alien.
yeah,
Yeah.
I fear I would be ruined. I
Yeah.
would
And I escaped, and they
be
didn't.
yeah.
No spoilers, but
So it's like you said, if this is an adult book, her sister would be dead.
yeah.
Which is, I think, the craziest thing to process as
Well,
you're reading this.
The thing that also is like here when they're in the tent, they're like whispering to each other, and like Kaya's like, "We'll get home. Like once the men come home, they'll come and grab us." But this is like the craziest part of this book to me is just like the vastness of like the land that they're on. Like it's like this is like uncharted territory in the sense that it's not like you're like, oh, there's the exit to Austin. Like I know where to go. It's like it's crazy to think that anyone's gonna be able to find.
Oh, it's very like needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
Well, and she kind of, even to your point, she's reassuring Speaking Rain, but basically she's like,
I don't know about
yeah,
this.
I know my family's gonna come get us. She said, like a liar. Like is basically the sentence. So it's a bummer, but she tries to reassure her. She's doubtful, and then Speaking Rain sings them a lullaby, and it's a little funny because Kaya like goes on high alert and is like, oh no, will they be annoyed by the singing? And one of the raiders kind of like turns over, looks at her, and then is just like, haha, what threat could a lullaby
little girl
pose to
be?
me? Children sing.
Besides snooze time.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she sings, and then they go to bed. And that's the end of chapter 1.
Nice. Good job, Kaya.
Also, importantly, they are currently tying both of them up.
Yeah.
But this changes later.
Yes, because of blind.
Yes. Each night they are tying them up and together so that if they try to flee, they won't be able to. So chapter 2, Slaves of the Enemy.
Kid stuff.
You guys thought the slavery was done in these books, huh?
It's back.
It's so back. Okay, so this is where we get the raiders. They continue to move east over the Buffalo Trail. And the Buffalo Trail we'll talk about in this book and in the next one. It's just a big connected long path that they all follow to go to different main areas.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's very
cool.
cool.
I didn't know
about it. Did you know about
I
this?
didn't know about this.
We're learning a lot.
We are learning a lot.
She might be the girl who's taught me the most things.
Well, it just is like to take a little side as we want to do. It is interesting, like especially even finding out like throughout these books, like the kind of nomadic nature of her tribe, where it's like kind of like I guess like I knew there were nomadic tribes and they like would move around and stuff, but I guess I didn't realize it's like, oh, they'd move around to this group that was also in their tribe they didn't see all the time, and then they would move to a different group, and that everyone is constantly moving and meeting. I guess I didn't think about it like that, where it's like, oh, we might not be with Mom's family all the time, but sometimes we convene and we're with Mom's family for 2 or 3 months, and then we leave and we're all just like in our mini pod.
Yep.
And then we go to Dad's family, and then we go to a third group that has no one like in our family in it. Like, it's just kind of interesting to see that these people who are in their tribe, they're not all always together.
Right.
It's like even like in the next book when like Cut Cheek comes back,
Yeah, or that like she left her family and her family's too far away to help like later on.
Yeah, no, it's just kind of interesting to like get like insight into.
Yeah,
because of
100%.
the way that like you think about it, so you don't really think about that much. So
no.
And I'm enjoying like finding out that like all these different tribes use this like trail road. But, like, then you're in someone else's territory and,
right, so there's things to be concerned about, but it's useful because it is basically, like, an ancestral path that, like, everybody kind of knows and learns.
Too bad we destroyed it.
Yeah. I have a note about that in the Peek into the Past where it just suddenly is like, by the way, and then it was all ruined. Isn't that a bummer? And I was like, I feel like we could talk about this in a different way. Okay, so they finally do reach the raider camp. And here and there, like while they're traveling, Kaya gets this like false sense of hope that the scout is gonna come back to the group and hear that like they've heard from like her people, that like her dad and like that
he's
like
like
Tota
very hoping
and everybody
for a quick
else.
rescue.
Yeah, and that's not gonna happen. Every day the scout comes back, there's no report, there's nothing to be done. Oh yes, and then this is where the horse dies.
Yeah, okay, so sorry guys.
No,
Spoiler,
you're
the
good.
horse is dead
It's
now.
like I said, these two chapters kind of
Blurred together.
were one
Yeah.
to me because the last one, these books are much less self-contained,
Yes.
which is nice.
Yeah.
But it is kind of blurry. So they're stopping and they're camping and they're stopping and they're camping, and then finally they get back to the camp, and once they're there, they're Kaya and Speaking Rain are sent off to the women to basically be like investigated.
Yeah, see what they're good for.
They're pinched and they're prodded and they're like looked up and down and they're assessed, and basically Kai can't understand what they're saying, but from their facial expressions it seems like the women are kind of confused and disappointed, like why like
They brought back
these
2 little girls.
children are here. Also, when they get into camp, they walk by this really skinny, beat up looking kid who's
Kaya's
gonna
like,
be important.
oh, another slave like
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, Kaya's like bummer, and he's ugly and skinny.
He's crazy.
He's crazy. So there is like this one kind of weird line that I'm wondering if it's gonna come into play later, like when we come back potentially to Speaking Rain. Spoilers, guys, but where it says that like one of the women is angry and kind of like hard in her expression when she realizes Speaking Rain is blind again, but then that the guy that she's like talking to says something else, and then like the woman's expression softens, and like it seems like she's taken on like a new like insight into it. And Kaya has this really crazy thought where she's like, hopefully they'll soon learn what a good weaver she is. And I was like, okay, well, yes, hopefully they realize she can be useful too. But
yeah. But the funny thing is, like, he told her, like, oh, don't worry, she can sing.
yeah, Kaya's
Again,
like, wow, surely she was like, this is an amazing child singer.
can
She will
sing
be
to
a
babes.
prodigy. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like she'll be able to take care of the babies and sing to them and soothe them.
Which is what she does. Which,
Yeah,
again,
which
Speaking Rain's
I
dead,
guess
guys.
works. Yeah, Speaking Rain is over party. She's not, but like she might as well be. So Kaya is given hide scraping chore. So there's this like sinewy, stretched out piece of animal skin that she is given a bone to like work through and basically scrape all the fat off of, so that the hide can be taken to be like turned into leather.
Clothing or whatever, yeah.
Whatever they need the material for. And she's like, I'm going to work twice as hard to make sure that I'm extra useful so that they don't do anything to Speaking Rain.
Because I got her into this situation.
Which I'm like, okay, sure. Also, then she calls the woman the otter woman.
Oh, yeah. Why again?
I have to be honest with you. I wrote it down because I was like, oh, she calls her the otter woman. But I don't think that she gives a reason. Hang on. I have it right here. It just says, Kaya thought of the old woman as otter woman. She sat Kaya down and gave her buffalo meat to eat.
Oh, didn't she have like a otter pattern in her like tent or something?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Bold designs of otters were painted. Yeah. That's up. But yeah. Yes. So that's why she's the otter woman. So she's scraping and the otter woman gives like her approval, and then like they are being given like food still, but basically every night they are slaves. Like it's not good living. It's not good eats.
Yeah,
either.
no.
It's like you guys are children.
It's the jerky, buffalo jerky.
Yeah, it's just whatever they had left. Charred and stanky. So, each night when they're done with their chore, Otter Woman comes and gets them, and she ties Kaya back up so Kaya can't flee to her, which is crazy.
Kind of smart, though.
It is definitely smart. I mean, it is kind of their fault that Kaya gets away later.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like she ties it around her ankles, and then she ties it around her own, and then makes the knots really tie, which she doesn't bother to tie up Speaking Rain.
Because she's blind, and what's a blind girl gonna do, you know?
And they're like, she won't try to escape. She won't run away. Where would she go?
But why not just tie her up, just in case?
I agree. Also, like, she could still, like, she's not deaf.
She'd choke you to death.
Yeah, I'm like, it feels really stupid. And she could still, like...
Both of them could choke this woman.
Yeah.
One of them could hold her down. The other one could choke her.
Honestly, the sequence later where Speaking Rain is helpful.
Yeah.
She could, like, stab her in the neck.
Yeah.
So, anyway. Anyway, so the girls are talking at night, but they're not allowed really to whisper anymore to each other because the Otter Woman runs a strict program and yells at them and is like, turn that off. Enough. Goodbye. And you're like, okay, right, thanks. So, she's like, we'll get home someday. Not really. She's still not confident, but lying is free. And so Kaya gets to work, and here's the, obligatory chore doing portion of any good American girl book.
I like when the chores are scarier.
These are scary, and these are scary.
Yeah.
She's doing scraping of hide, fetching of wood, doing of chore.
These are real chore.
These are real chore. These are real labor.
These are life or death chore.
100%. These are fuck it up and it's over for you.
Yeah.
And she, of course, she also yearns. She yearns to see Steps High, but basically all of the horses that they have captured, they keep like well off in this guarded area where like the younger boys of their group are like tending to them and looking after them. So, there's not really a chance for her to go over to them, until one day. Another Kaya makes a mistake. That's really what this book should have been called. So she is looking out to the side, and she sees that there's an opportunity one evening as like the sun is setting on the horizon, that there's like a gap. She can see that there's a horse that's moved away from the herd and it's coming closer, and she's realized that it's her horse. And she's like, well, nobody's going to notice me because nobody's noticed the horse has moved away from the herd. So she like whistles to her horse and she sneaks off to the edge and like runs behind all the teepees, but she doesn't even make it to her horse. Because a man like steps out basically from like behind a different teepee and is like,
what are you doing?
Huh? And he whips her with rope on the back of her legs.
And then they start whipping the horse.
Yes.
So she got her end Steps High.
Well, and then it gets even worse. So they're like hitting the horse, and then he gets on top of Steps High, and he puts this like sharp kind of like rope bit in her mouth to try to like ride her. And then she's bucking him, and Kaya kind of gets this like, yes, like be spirited, don't let him ride you. But it's very obvious that like he is also a horse master of some kind.
Well, he's just whipping her.
He's just beating her into submission.
Yeah, and then she's all bloody and like...
Yeah, and it says, the man whipped her with his quirt and sawed at the rope bridle in her mouth. He dragged the horse's head around and rode her in a circle. And then it says blood stained the lather on her neck and shoulders. So, again, unfortunately, everything that goes wrong in this book is Kaya's fault. Because your horse would have been left the fuck alone, at least for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
If you hadn't done that.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
It's tough. She's tough in this one.
It's tough. So the next day, Kaya is sometimes given like the task to go gather wood for the fires. So she's speaking with Speaking Rain, and also she's doing this chore with them and this other slave boy, who has been avoiding her.
Yeah, he's kind of sketchy.
He's always seems like very grim and odd. And at one point they start speaking in...
This was cool. I didn't know this.
I also didn't know this.
So apparently, like a lot of and I'm just gonna guess because they don't specify, but I'm gonna guess the Pacific Northwestern tribes that would interact with each other. They have a like sign language that they could, like a universal sign language that's like you can all use to talk to people of different tribes.
Yes, which is
very
fucking
cool.
100%.
So she like tries it and figures out that he can speak. He's
also, I think I'm jumping around, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, so she tries it and he can do it. So I'll just get through. It doesn't matter. I'm mixing up two sequences here, but yeah, he's like, he signs back. He reveals his name is Two Hawks, and he is Salish, which
it's like a friendly tribe of
is
guys.
A friendly, yeah. And she's like, okay, well, we have historical precedent with them.
We trade with them. Some people we intermarry with them.
Yeah,
like,
so like
good guys.
We like them. They've showed us good fishing places. Yeah, we like them. And she's like, so hopefully like we can kind of keep that good thing going and be allies to each other here. And so she asks him and is like, how long have you been here? And he basically is like, as long as I can remember, like a long, long time. There was a raid on his tribe and he was taken from his family.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay. He's like not even sure his family's still like alive
Yeah, he knows nothing.
and like out there.
I think he's taken when he was like 6 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's young and he gets an attitude later, which is really crazy.
He has a crazy attitude.
He's a crazy switch up later. So she's like, okay, cool. So the thing I mixed up is I wrote them out of sequential order. But the thing that happens before they go on this chore errand is that Speaking Rain and Kaya are discussing that the potential only way that they're going to escape is if Kaya goes alone. And this is sort of what leads her to that conversation with Two Hawks. And basically Speaking Rain is like, I think you're going to have to leave me. And Kaya's like, no way. Oh my God. Like, we can't do that. And she's like, let's be realistic. I'll only like slow you down. It will be a hard journey. And I know like you're brave enough to do it alone and you'll come back for me.
Yeah. If there's any chance of like both of us getting home, it's if at least one of us gets home.
Right.
You know?
And so she's like, I will be okay and I will be brave. And then they're like, what would Katsua do if she was captured? And they're like, well, she would try to escape.
I'm like, okay, Katsua.
And I'm like, okay, slay.
We don't want anything about this one, but they're like, she would fucking annihilate the camp and leave.
Yeah, so first of all, she'd go rip it crazy style and then she'd be fine. And we're like, right.
Like, you're so right.
Okay, sure. I mean, just drop lore like that. So anyway, they start hiding food for their journey.
Mhm.
That's like the end of the scene. And then the Two Hawks scene happens. And then Kaya is telling Two Hawks that their plan is to stockpile food and leave when like the time is right. And Two Hawks has basically already been sick of this shit. He's ready.
He's like, no.
He's like, we actually need to leave tonight.
Yeah, she's like, we're gonna escape. He goes, right now.
Yeah, and she's like,
who's with me?
No, not that. And he's like, no, like now, like for sure. And she's like, I don't know. Okay. But then he's like, well, look what's happening. They're trading those horses away. And once all of the horses are traded and given away and sold off,
we're
leaving.
Deeper. Yeah.
And we'll never come back here.
Yeah.
And
we're going deeper into their county.
And winter is approaching.
Yeah.
So she does see and she watches helplessly as they like are taking the horses away, including Steps High. And they're like disappearing like traumatically over the horizon.
Yeah, goodbye.
And she's like distraught and she's like, okay, damn, not only am I gonna lose my sister, but also my horse.
It's sometimes unclear which one she's more upset by. Which
yeah, it literally just says Kaya bit her lip. How could she bear to leave her sister and lose her horse as well? And I was like, I mean, yes, the animal is a different type of devastation, but it is literally your fault that your disabled sister has been kidnapped and you have to abandon her.
There's like a line, and we'll get to it in the next book, and I'll mention it again, but like early on the next book where it was like, it's like Kaya was sad because through no fault of her own, she had recently lost her sister and her most beloved horse. And it's like, who is more important?
I know. I was like, I kind of feel like there should be like one other sentence of separation between being sad about
it's
her
like
sister
when Molly's
and the
dad
horse.
said he was excited to see Molly and eat meatloaf in the same sentence.
Yes. And you're like, okay, maybe like take a pause.
One level of importance different.
Maybe like they're a little separate.
Yeah.
So anyway, chapter 3, here we go. Escape. So, the night goes on, and as evening is approaching, a huge storm has been brewing in the distance. The kind of storm that's going to change the color of the sky.
It's kind of cool.
Oh, I love like a good
We need a good
storm
again.
We only get like, when Austin gets the good ones, we get like
devastating floods,
devastating,
that
terrible storms. So it's like,
but it was kind of fun when we had those storms.
I like a good rainfall.
Oh my God, I love a like rainy day.
Consistent too. Like if it's gonna rain, I want it to rain all day. I think it's annoying when it rains in the morning and then it's fine by like 2.
There's nothing. I think my worst weather experience is you like wake up on like a Saturday, right? And it is like icky gross out. And you're like, hell yeah, I am gonna like just sit inside, be like chill, cozy. And then 1:30 rolls around and the sun's out, but it's like humid and gross. And you're like in your pajamas. You're like,
right. actually, it was supposed to be cozy today.
You're like,
So I'm calling the police on
turn
the
it
weather.
off. Turn it back off.
Where is it?
Yeah.
Enough.
I love a storm.
I love a storm, especially if you can crack that window open.
And have just a little
drizz,
the like rain smell.
little pitter patter.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not authentically recreated in like ASMR, little like sleep tracks. I don't like the sleep tracks of like sound like rainstorms. Do you get
Because
it?
you need the smell with it.
I agree. And it is like the pressure in the air, like your
You just
animal
feel it.
brain is like,
Yeah.
yes. So, do you guys also like storms? Sound off in the comments.
Sound off in the comments if you like a little pitter patter.
But we're about to get a big old blowy woey stormy warning.
And they're like, what better time to run into the elements?
Yeah. So she goes and she finds Two Hawks, and she can see that he's doing coal chore at Big Fire. And so she signals to him for him to meet her tonight at the big tree. And he's like, yes. So that night, Kaya is guiding Speaking Rain in the tent to steal the Otter Woman's knife that she's been using in order to get it over to Kaya to cut herself free. So Speaking Rain like carefully navigates, and she's like, it's inside the pack, like in the door, basically. And Speaking Rain's like, right, which I can see. She doesn't, but she makes a good joke, and she's like very carefully. And says, like, the storm is so loud at this point that, like, any sort of sound she might make in, like, fumbling for the bag is covered.
Which is nice.
Which is nice. Convenient.
Good timing, girls.
Good timing. So, eventually, Speaking Rain gets her the knife. Kaya slowly saws herself free.
And then she, like, lays there for a little bit, which is smart.
Yeah, she lays there for a little bit. And then her and Speaking Rain switch places.
Okay, so this is where I actually had more of an issue because no one is mentioning that Speaking Rain will probably be punished for this.
Well, again, yes.
Because especially if she's laying where Kaya laid, it's very clear they orchestrated this together.
Right.
And Kaya didn't just
like
escape.
Flee on her own.
Yeah.
Because she's blind.
Yeah.
So you couldn't be mad at her for not realizing that Kaya is...
Exactly. If she was staying where she normally sleeps and Kaya had slipped out, I just think they have set Speaking Rain up to be punished by this tribe, and she is already... I know this won't happen because it's a kid's book, but she's already relatively useless to them. The one person who she can speak to and understand is now gone. Yes. So now she is, for all intents and purposes, no offense to her, kind of deaf and mute. Like, blind, deaf, and mute to them.
Yes,
you know?
correct.
Like, they can't communicate with her. They can't sign with her.
Right.
She doesn't speak.
Yeah.
She can't see things.
Don't you think it's interesting that there's no signing, though, between her and the Raiders? I did wonder if that maybe they were...
They might be from a different area.
That,
I think they might be because they wouldn't be so comfortable
it keeps
signing.
Yeah. That, like, they're distant versus where she's like, oh, he's Salish.
Yeah, and I mean, they would at least, like,
It's interesting.
They're signing very out in the open, so they're not worried about the Raiders understanding
like picking up on it.
But still, like, they can't communicate with Speaking Rain at all.
No, I completely agree
with
you.
So they're going to kill her.
So, once again, Speaking Rain is dead. Well, honestly, to your point, so without spoiling who it is, in the next book there is a death. And I was kind of, like, thinking about it, and I was like, you know, it might actually be more impactful if Speaking Rain dies as, like, a punishment. I kind of kept expecting it to happen.
Yeah.
Well,
no, I know.
I mean, some best friends aren't, well, you know, like in the story narrative. But, like, I was kind of like, well, they're gonna kill her, right? Or she's gonna die. Like, she keeps being...
I know she's gonna be alive in, like, crazy talk. Like, we're gonna get her back. And she's gonna be like, thank you.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, real talk, like, I feel like the Vision Quest... We're getting all the pieces for the Vision Quest. I feel like the Vision Quest is what the Changes book is.
I think so.
Or maybe the book before it.
Yeah.
Because the next one has...
Lone Dog. Maybe the Vision...
I feel like that's... it might be the beginning of it. Because I know she needs to get her spirit guide.
Yeah.
Her Wyakin.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we'll have to see. We'll have to keep reading.
We'll just have to keep reading. Okay, so Kaya slips off into the woods, and the two sisters hug one last time before this happens, and they're like, "Ugh, good luck to you." Whatever. She runs into the woods, and she hears her name get called out by Two Hawks, and she's like, "Oh my God, what a welcome sound!
Sweet sound of my name.
The sweet sound of my name. A woman who's never done anything wrong."
A faultless woman.
Yeah, a faultless woman. I'm guilt-free here. So they sprint west against the wind and the rain, and it's
crazy.
soaking them to the bone, and they're like drenched.
These are two like emaciated 10-year-olds running through like
yeah, they've barely been getting fed. Like he's described repeatedly as being like very, very thin, and like they are so exhausted and drained that they're like Kaya's like hallucinating at certain points in this chapter. Eventually they find like a place to settle in for the night, like, but their main concern is they basically only have until morning to get as far the fuck away from the camp as possible.
to make it harder for the raiders who are going to notice they're gone to find them.
And then they're going to get on horses, which will beat them on foot anytime, any day.
Which is crazy. I would...
Super crazy. Yeah, 100%. So they finally make it as far as they think they can, and basically until like their bodies break down and they're like, we have to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
So they build a little lean-to shelter, and they like huddle up and they fall asleep. And in the morning, Kaya is like jump scared awake by a hand on her mouth.
Uh-oh, the raiders?
Spooky. No raiders.
Yeah.
It's just two hawks. But there are scouts.
Scary.
So they lie there, like basically frozen in fear. They can hear the horse hooves and like the murmurs kind of nearby, but they keep like kind of moving in and out until eventually they seem to fade away into the distance.
Do we think these people really care about getting 2 kids back?
Yeah, I feel like maybe they would put in like 1 day's worth of effort.
I think that's kind of what they do.
Yeah, and then it's like, no, because if you don't
well,
find
then you're kind of like
them-
they're already dead.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to survive.
Yeah.
They're like, they're children.
They're either going to get back to their tribe or they're dead. But like, what's
Right.
the kind of like, what's the point of wasting our manpower and looking for them at this point?
Again,
I
right,
agree.
children.
Yeah.
Like children's labor. So, they stay there. The scouts move on, but they stay under the ledge basically for like, it seems like hours longer. So then at night, I liked this part. I thought it was cute. Kaya is looking up at the sky and she's using all the legends she knows about like constellations and how like they and her like tribe talk about the stars, which I thought was cute. So she's using like the North Star
to try and find her way
to find her way home, and she's like following like all the maps, and she's like, okay, I recognize these characters and like this is where we need to go, and followed it till she found the star, and she's like, well, I'm hoping that's the right one. That's actually the funniest part. She like goes through this whole like sequence of being
kind of
like,
relatable though.
Yeah, where you're like,
that looks right to me, right?
Yeah, 100%. So the elder brother is the North Star.
Yeah, I like that.
So they continue on, they keep walking, and then so this is the beginning of the beef.
Okay, one
point
thing
with them.
Yeah, and one thing I felt like with this is Two Hawk starts acting like your teen sim when you want them to do homework, but they like have something off with their mood.
Yep.
Like he's like an NPC that goes rogue here a little bit.
Yes. I agree. I think that is a perfectly apt description. Because she's like, follow me. I figured it out. I've got the stars on lock, King.
And he's like,
He's like, no.
Yeah, I like wanting to strangle this kid.
And she's like, does he think like, I don't know the way of the stars? She's like, okay, whatever. And then she's like, well, we have to get to the, so they're working towards, they want to get to the Buffalo Trail.
Yeah.
Because if they can get to the trail,
then they can follow the trail back.
all the way back. But basically they're like, well, we don't really know where it is.
Yeah.
So we're kind of just fucking around until then. And she's like, we're going to need a shelter for tonight. Like, we'll build a new one.
Will you help me?
Will you help me? And he's like, no.
Woman's work,
boring. And I'm never doing woman's work again. And I'm like, I understand, but you both just escaped. I know you were a slave for longer.
Such a little fucking bitch here.
Well, literally, he's like, well, I'm a man and I'm going to lead and women are to follow. And I'm like, you've literally been like trapped in a camp that Kaya has helped facilitate your escape from.
Yeah.
Like, let's be clear.
Yeah.
You might not have done it without the
Kaya,
catalyst of this
K-dog.
little girl.
Yeah.
Helping. And now you're like, fuck this bitch. I'm not going to help her do
He's
fuck
like, I
all.
think it's her fault, which it is her fault for her, but not for him.
Yes. It's her fault, but not in the way he thinks.
Yeah. This might be the punishment she deserves, though, being stuck with 2 hawks in this situation.
Yeah, 100%. Well, she's like, well, help me. And he's like, no. So then she builds the shelter on her own.
Yeah, which I was like, crazy girl, don't
and
do
I was
that.
like, okay. I
Build
know.
one
I was
small
like,
enough just for
I
you.
literally, when it was like, when the book describes the shelters being just big enough for the 2 of them, I was like, well, it shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
It should have been big enough for one.
Yeah,
and
like,
then
so
she could
sorry.
have laughed at him.
Yeah.
And huddled up in a depression ball.
Yeah.
But he's like, I'll keep a lookout. And I was like, honestly, King, like, go hunt.
Yeah.
Like, that was the thing that was pissing me off. He was
Because
like,
he's not doing anything.
no. He's not like fascinating like together like a little like makeshift weapon or anything.
It's just so man of him though too.
No, it's very
to be like, no, I'm in charge, but I'm doing less.
It's very boy coded. So they sleep in the lean-to. Then in the next morning, there's a bunch of geese outside, and Kaya's kind of like, uh-oh. And we learn about this a little in the Peek into the Past, but basically, like, children are taught that like bird migration is the signaling of the changing of the seasons, which
it is.
It
kind
is.
of. Unless you live in Austin and
kind of, yeah. And
the
then
season never changes.
they're actually always here. Last night when I was going to my tailgate, the woman in my Uber told me that the birds are the first sign something's wrong. And that's how we should know that 5G is going to get all of us.
That's so cool. Tell me more.
Bro, I recorded part of the conversation, so I'll show it to you later. But she was like, you want to know if something's going to change? She was like, you go talk to the birds.
She's right.
And I was like, what?
Stand on the door.
Cool. Yeah, I was like, I'm about to stop, drop, and roll out of this vehicle. Also, there's birds there. Does Two Hawks hunt any of them?
No.
No. And they're so hungry that Kaya is like blurry vision, like dizzy.
Yeah, they've
ill.
eaten through all the tiny scraps of dried meat they brought.
Yeah, they have like basically nothing left. And then she's like, we should go fish. And he's like, no, I'll lead us there. And she's like, okay. So then they're back in the foothills and they're continuing to go, and they get to the river, and they're like, we should just stop here. And he's like, no, we have to keep going. And she's like, I can't. I'm like not well.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm exhausted. I need a rest. And he's like, okay, whatever. Weak women.
So he walks away, right?
So he walks away, and she. Oh, they get into a fight. Like, they get into a fight because he's like, my dad's a warrior, and one day I'm going to be a warrior, and I'll show you, stupid girl, and like, you go off then, you're too weak for me, and you're not the leader, and I am. And I say, we keep going. And she's like, okay, whatever. And then she's like, we should build a shelter and rest. And he's like, well, I'm not a slave anymore. And she's like, okay. And this is the crazy thing. Did you also read this description this way? She kind of wanders off.
Yeah.
And she trips and she falls and she slams her head into a cedar tree. Yeah. and then is like, I guess this is a good place to rest. But literally, like, the book
She has a concussion.
She has a concussion. She's like, not well.
She's like, up, sleepy time.
She like stumbles and then she's like, whoa. And it's like her skull like cracks against the bar.
She's like, finally. Time to sleep. Natasha Richards.
When she smashed her head against a cedar limb, she went down to her knees in pain. Let him go on if he wants, she thought. I need to rest. Well, it doesn't seem like you think that. It seems like the decision was physically made for you by
She's
you
like
falling
losing
to the fucking
consciousness.
ground. But she like falls and her hand lands on the furry, still kind of warm body
of a dead deer.
Baby dead deer.
Again,
this book is crazy.
Yeah, it's like a baby dead deer on the ground.
And she's like, uh-oh. And so there's this fresh carcass, and she's disoriented and she's exhausted, and she's trying to put 2 and 2 together, and she's like, oh no, like, if this is this fresh, like, it's probably a cougar. And the cougar is probably going to come back for this deer. So I need to go warn Two Hawks that this is happening.
Yeah, there's a cougar afoot.
ASAP. And so, like, I don't know, you guys, were you thinking that a cougar attack was going to happen in this book? Because it's about to. Because she goes down and she hurries down the embankment, and she gets to the river where Two Hawks has his back turned, and there is a cougar.
Like in a tree above him.
Oh my God, there's a cougar, and he's like looking down. And then just as she reaches the stream, the cougar leaps. Chapter 4.
Being kids.
And I just wrote Jesus Christ.
Kids being kids.
I kind of was like,
I'd
sure.
be too tired to help.
I was like, sure, why not? Well,
I'd be
I would have
like,
just let him be mauled.
And I'd be like,
He was being kind of an asshole. Anyway, chapter 4. On the Buffalo Trail. This chapter is so long.
Yeah.
By the way, normally we're like, and that one was short.
Yeah, usually chapter 4s are short, but this one's
got a lot of bang to its buck.
It ends pretty crazy too.
Yes. Let's get into it. Okay, so Kaya screams like, "Watch out! Oh my God, she's freaked, she's geeked." And she warns him just enough in time that basically he avoids the impact of the initial attack. But the cat still scratches him and like gets him pretty good. At least from what she can tell. And then Kaya punches the cougar in the nose.
I feel like that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, I know you're supposed to hit sharks on the nose.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Well, so you're not wrong. But I guess I wonder the impact of a child bopping a cougar. And it does describe the cougar as being kind of like scraggly and like mangy.
Nobody take this as actual advice. But I do think with some of the smaller like cats and animals like that, I think they're used to like fighting the prey that won't fight back at all. So I think if you start to put up a fight, then it like they move on.
Yeah.
Like I think that because they're hunting like baby deer, they're hunting that stuff. I think like they're expecting like they're hunters, but they're not like fighters. Again, guys, do not just theory out. This is like
I just sound off in the comments if you think this theory is wrong.
This is kind of just me vibing on what I have.
I'm just kind of like taking the thoughts and notions to the streets.
Like, guys, just go punch those big cats. But I do think it is kind of like once there's like a little bit of a fight back, there's a little bit of a retreat with those. It's not like a wolf or something.
Well, and she throws sand in its eyes.
Yeah.
So
I think he's done.
It was donezo.
He knew he had that baby dead deer, so
that's right. He was like, "Well, I'll just slink off.
Go snack on that. Already there.
Bye.
Ready-made meal." He just want a combo loca.
Bro. He was like, "This was too much for me." He was like, "There wasn't even that much meat on that bone anyway."
Yeah, that boy's so scraggly.
So finally it turns away and runs off, and Kaya's like, "Two Hawks, come here. Oh no, you're hurt. Let me tend to your wounds." And he like basically takes off this like pelt that he had,
which protected him.
This deer skin, like kept him pretty safe. So he's like a little beat up, he's a little scratched, a little nicked, but largely fine.
Yeah, overall okay.
But he does give Kaya some credit.
A little humbled by this experience.
Barely, yeah.
Barely.
Yeah. And she goes and she finds some like natural remedies and like herbs and stuff and like chews them up and like
very Josefina coded.
Very Josefina coded.
I was like, oh, our girl making a poultice?
I was like, these two, they would vibe. They would enjoy. So then they're talking to each other and they're like, we have to look out for each other. We're not enemies. And he's like, yeah, we're not enemies. And she's like, good, friends. And then he's like, what is good in your language? And she says, tots. And then he says it back to her. And then they're fine. And then they start working together. The power of friendship.
And guess what? Things get easier.
Yeah, you'll never believe it. Yeah, it's like kind of.
I mean, it's realistic. It's not like kids are like, gonna be like, and now everything was good.
Everything is good.
But they fish.
So they fish and they build a fire and they work together and everything is
yummy.
But also, you guys will never believe this. More shit is coming. Because the snow is closing in on them.
Yeah, I guess it's like October, November.
Yeah, I think that's what I figured because
I guess it was like end of summer.
And then so like maybe like August, September.
I guess I don't know how high they are in the mountains or like stuff like that.
Yeah,
it could be like October and like the mountains are getting
right.
Yeah,
and we don't totally know how long
they're captive for.
Yeah,
I feel like a little while.
It seems like some amount of time, like maybe a month has passed.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So the snow is coming, but they found themselves on the Buffalo Trail,
which is good because they were worried about not finding it before the snow came and it being covered.
Yeah, they're basically
I guess it truly is like a trail. Actually, I guess it's like a beaten down path.
Yeah,
like
because
a trod path.
Yeah. Because like Caroline said, eventually it's like they won't be able to track it anymore. So they pass a cairn, which it's funny. I feel like I knew what it was, but I don't think I knew that that was what they were called. I don't think I knew that that was the word used for it. But basically, guys, it's like those human like made
Stone piles,
stone
right? Yeah.
piles. And they can be lots of different things. They can be like a burial marker. They can. Some people just do them because they're dicks
Yeah.
and they want to make them for
Some hikers
fun.
like to do them.
Yeah, hikers, like a marker, like a trailhead, like a memorial. It can be lots of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's just cool that you can make them on your own. And Kaya is like, oh, I should make my own one of these. And like, I'll just leave it. And if somebody is coming, like Tota or somebody I know and is looking for me, like, I'll leave like a clue. So she builds her own cairn, and in it, she tucks in the stack a magpie feather that she has. And she's like, hopefully, if somebody sees it, they'll think of my stupid nickname.
They'll know that. Oh, this is that stupid girl who got stolen.
As a stupid girl. So then she builds that. They continue on the trail. They're continuing to push forward, and then they finally get to this like sort of like prairie flatlands area. And Kaya gets excited because she's basically like, "Okay, wait, this is good. The closer we keep getting this way, like past that is going to be like the way home. Like that's going to be my homeland." And so, Two Hawks is like, well, let me get up in a tree and I'll get a better vantage point and see like where we need to go. So he gets up in the tree and the tree branch snaps and he falls and he breaks his ankle. And she's like, oh my God. She's like, this is.
She can't carry this fucking
She's
guy.
like, I can't keep him and me alive. And like, as they're kind of struggling up the trail, he's like wincing and groaning. And
like really broken.
It's like really bad. He's in a lot of pain. And so she's basically like, this is bad. Oh, also at one point they find like an abandoned pack from some Salish people.
They find a pack from Salish people that I assume is like I don't think it's abandoned, but I think it's like stored.
Yeah, like left
I think
behind.
it's like the guys like hunt the guys. The guys go out there to hunt and they leave that there so that when they get to that point they have something to eat. So it has like dried berries and like furs and stuff.
So she's like, thank God, like just
and they take
enough.
it. They're like, cool.
Yeah, they're like, well, hopefully nobody needs this. It is on a hunting expedition right now. And needs to come back for it. So they use that. He gets hurt. She's like, fuck, like, what are we gonna do? Like, I'm not strong enough to carry him and we can keep going. So she builds a fire and the night is freezing fucking cold. And she does sing Speaking Rain's little lullaby to him to warm his heart and his body.
And he finally falls asleep.
And he finally falls fitfully asleep.
Tough week for Two Hawks.
Yeah. Okay. And then the next day.
This part I was like, what's happening?
Okay. So I like to preface before this next section. I think it's very interesting to include the spiritual and religious elements of like the Nez Perce people. I think it is a little interesting that we don't talk more about kind of like the importance of like visions and like the spirits and things until kind of the start. They start to talk about it more in 3. I kind of wish this Peek into the Past or the one prior had maybe like been more of a primer because we don't really have supernatural elements in any of our other
girl books. Yeah.
Like not really.
Yeah.
And so her being the first girl on page to have like spiritual experiences, which are absolutely there because of how integral they are to like her culture. I think it's a little odd to not give indicators to like the importance of those things. Even like in the next book, the giving of the name stuff, I felt like was not outright explained.
Oh yeah,
clearly enough.
We'll talk about that because I need some help with that.
Okay, don't worry. So anyway, so the next morning she wakes up in a panic basically because the snow has engulfed the world. It is very bad. The trail is
yellow
gone.
Jackets.
Very yellow jackets. Basically, like, we didn't make it out in time. What are we going to do? We're going to run out of the food from the pack. This is really bad. So Kaya gets out and she starts to walk outside.
Well, and she's kind of like, if I can keep him warm enough, then I can maybe walk a little further and hopefully run into someone.
Which, crazy does happen.
Yeah. I mean, they must be close to her country now.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, at least the edge of, like, patrol territory. And, like, the men were out pretty far hunting,
Well, and, like,
so
kind of as we were talking about earlier in this book, I guess, like, it's not like she's not looking for a specific person, but if, as we said, her tribe has different pockets where people are moving
it's, like,
around,
some branch
she just
of
needs to
them.
meet a Nimipu somewhere.
Yes,
You know?
correct.
Like,
Yeah.
or even a Salish. So I think she's just like, all right, I just need to find someone.
At this point, survival.
Yeah.
So she walks out and she sees up on this ridge this like ethereal, glowing woman. It's like this very beautiful woman. Her hair is braided back. She's looking at her. She actually thinks the woman kind of looks like swan circling.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, this must be like a good sign. I need to follow her. She's also like still exhausted and kind of isn't
Delirious.
sure of herself.
Yeah.
So she follows the woman up, but then when she gets to the peak, the woman is gone, and in her place is like a beautiful wolf.
I'm trying to be like, oh no.
And the wolf has like these yellow eyes and these little black tips on its ear and is watching her. Okay, I mean, I feel like we're already getting in to like that. She thinks that it might be a Wyakin, maybe not hers specifically, but she thinks it's a guardian spirit looking out for her. So she's like, okay, like, this is great. Like, wait for me. And then the wolf disappears off into the woods and she's kind of just left alone again. And she's distraught and she's like, I don't know what to do. Don't worry though, you guys, because the wolf disappears and then she sees her dad.
Yeah, well, she sees her dad's horse.
Yes.
Like, well, she both of them, but she recognizes her dad's horse first.
Yes, and she's like,
Runner.
who is that? What is that? And so she's like, running, and she's like, Tota. And he's like, oh my God, Kaya.
He's like, I actually wasn't looking for you.
Yeah. Basically, he's like, I don't even understand.
He thought
like,
you were dead.
What has happened here? She's like, so like she collapses in relief. She's shivering and she's cold. And he has like some moccasins in his bag that he like puts on her feet while they like are talking. And he wraps her up in like a big buffalo hide. And I know. So she's like all cozied up and he's like, you're alive? And he's like, and where's Speaking Rain? And she's like, she's a slave. Not my fault though, right? Maybe I'm feeling guilty about it.
Assuage my guilt,
But
please.
maybe not in the way I should be feeling it. But she's like, I escaped with a Salish boy. He's over there. He's really not well. So she tells her father of like everything that has happened. They head over and he's like, she's like, how did you find me? And he's like, well, define like find. He's like, but somebody did find your cairn.
We thought you were around here.
Yeah, like because we found the feather and it made me think about your stupid nickname. And the scout was like, there was this magpie feather here, so maybe it's worth like
kind of circling this area. Yeah.
And then Kaya's like, I don't know where the trail is. I didn't know where it was like to get back. And then she cuts herself off from telling her dad about the vision with the wolf she had.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting to me.
Yeah. She wants to keep it to herself.
Yeah. I don't really understand why.
I think you're not supposed to tell people about your visions. Like,
but then in the next book,
before it's revealed,
we learn that Swan Circling had told her parents about the vision she had.
Yeah.
For telling
But I
think
it's because she's had her vision quest.
You think so?
I think it has to do with the fact that Kaya hasn't had her vision quest yet.
This is my problem. This is why I was a little like...
No, it needs a little bit better explanation, I think. That's what my guess is, that because she hasn't been on her vision quest yet,
then she doesn't
want to reveal pieces of what she thinks it might be until she's certain that's what it is.
Part of it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good hypothesis.
That's what I think. I think after that you can tell everyone all the visions you have.
Yeah, then it's like, bro, I just had a vision.
Yeah, it's flexing visions after that.
Flexing visions.
Yeah.
And then once she's done talking about her sister, she's like, also they took my horse. So...
That's tough.
Where's my horse at?
Give me back my horse.
And he's like, well, she's a good horse. You'll probably see her again. And I was like, we're really just lying. I mean, I'm actually pretty sure the horse does come back. But
they're both going to come back.
They're definitely both going to come back.
They definitely both shouldn't, though.
This is an American Girl book series. Yeah, much like a Felicity, Penny shouldn't have come back.
Yeah, Penny was gone.
I mean, ridiculous.
Penny's over party.
But anyway, she's very upset and she's like, it's my fault. So he like loads her up and he's like, when the snow melts, we'll help that boy like go back to his people. But for now, like he'll just have to come back to camp with us and like deal with it. And Kaya's very upset and she like kind of buries her face into her dad's back. And she's like, it's my fault that like my sister's a slave now and I've lost my horse and everything is bad. Okay, guys. And then this is where her dad is like, well, you were taken far away from us and you've endured a lot, but like, don't blame yourself. You're alive and well. Let's be grateful for that.
Yeah. Which I get. On one level, I get as a parent being like, look, I'm just fucking happy you're alive. Like, but at the same time, no one else in our tribe got stolen because everyone else ran into the woods.
Everybody else did what they were told.
So mayhaps you made a fatal error, as Nancy Drew Game would say. Second chance.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure, blackout death screen.
Yeah. Oh!
Oh,
You have made a fatal error.
yeah.
Second chance.
So
Don't do that again.
that's the end.
Yeah, the book just ends with like Kaya being like wrapped with guilt and Dad being like, "Don't feel too bad, I guess."
It's I think also because we've read the next book, we're also a little more like, huh. On the
It feels like there are no repercussions yet.
no, like we don't receive any sort of indication that Kaya's been like spoken to about her gross misbehavior.
Yeah.
That has led to the capture and taking of her sister and the
Do you
loss
think
of
it's
her
because
horse.
it's not her real sister and she's blind? Which is kind of useless.
I mean, do I think that the author wrote it that way? No. But do I think that that is how the book kind of reads?
Yes.
Yes. Because even in the next book, there's not like urgency
Yeah.
to like they're still asking about and inquiring about Speaking Rain, but like it's not like imperative that they find her.
Yeah.
So I don't think
Yeah,
you're
it's a little
wrong.
tough.
It's a little tough.
There isn't a get Speaking Rain back ASAP campaign.
No.
There's kind of like if the wind blows that direction.
Yeah, like if we like stumble upon her in like the
All the
quarry,
better.
like we'll go get her for sure. But for now, nah. So looking back, 1764. Basically, we talk about how kids were very involved in like the social elements of like their
Yeah.
people from like age.
Well,
the second they could like walk.
It weirdly, the Speaking to the Past goes back to like the school format.
Yes.
It's like surprise, bitch. We're still doing school. It's like school for Kaya would have been like
Yeah.
learning in the tent.
Yeah. So it's a little odd.
I mean, it kind of no,
Also-
it doesn't actually make sense with this story, but it was interesting.
It was interesting. It's very interesting. It talks basically like with like young girls, like starting from age 3, they would help with like chores around camp, so like gathering and picking and things. As they got older, they would learn how to sew. I thought it was interesting. It talks about like that those deerskin dresses would take like 2 full deer hides in order to make. They would talk about using like the sinew of like the muscles as like thread for stitching. And then that like boys could start joining hunts as young as like age 6, and that they would basically be given like toy versions of like bows and arrows, but that they would be brought along to kind of see like how the hunts operate and like what would happen, so that when they got older and they could be trusted with the weapons, actually that they already understood how these things worked.
No, it's an interesting look into like the dynamics of like how tribes worked and taught together. I just wish they'd focus more on like I was kind of hoping the Peek into the Past would teach us a little bit more about tribal wars and like kind of infighting like
because
this.
we talk
that's
about
what the book's about.
raiders, but
Yeah.
because we're reading from the point of view of a child, we don't really get like a full understanding of like, well, who are these people? Is this a specific like rival like nation, and like is this like an established sort of beef, or like is this like newer, like pressing into their territory? Like
It would have been interesting to say what this tribe that took Kaya was.
Yes, I agree. I think there's a little too much vagueness for this Peek into the Past to not have addressed more of it. Like I really thought the first one was really interesting, and I felt like everything in that was important to know contextually to enjoy the story more, versus like this one was interesting, but it's kind of
it was unrelated to the book, kind of.
Yeah, because even it goes on to talk about like, oh, and then like they would learn how to recognize like animal footprints and things like that. And then it talks about like that elders were very involved in like rearing children and like teaching them like proper morals and all those things, and like oral storytelling. And then you get this like weird aside with like a story.
They do that in all of them, which I like, but sometimes they're weird stories.
Well,
Like
the
the
one in the
next
next
one, I was like,
book
well,
pissed me off so
the
bad. I
glutton.
really hated it. I really was like, "No, this sucks." Anyway, this one is like the ant in the yellow jacket. But like
Yeah.
it's fine. It's just I think it's funny because it gives you this little story, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then it hard cuts to basically like and then don't forget that in the early 1800s, the forced assimilation of Nez Perce and other native children and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, they go to the assimilation schools, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's basically like, wow, their way of life was fine for many, many years, and isn't that great? And then, of course, with the westward expansion of the United States territories, the government begins forcing the living out of reservations, and then they would build these boarding schools.
Where they forced kids to like anglicize themselves.
Yeah, basically, like, you weren't to speak in your native tongue anymore, and if
Yeah.
you did, you would be punished. You would have to wear, like, very strict types of clothing.
It
They would
basically
cut
like
their
yeah, and
hair.
it's like evilly like the government figured out that the best way to get people to assimilate was to steal their children and make sure the kids never grew up with that culture.
Yeah,
Like
and it kind of writes it with, like, a cheery, sunshiny
yeah, it's
tone,
like they
which
figured out that like it was hard to get adults to change their ways, but children were malleable and you could steal them from their family and bully them into submission.
yeah, wouldn't that be neat? And then it, like, ends on this really melancholy note, which is basically that, like, to this day, like, the like, fluency in, like, the native tongue of, like, the Nimipu people is basically, like, gone.
Yeah.
That there are still, like, some people who can speak it with, like, close to fluency,
But
but
it's kind
basically
of dead language.
yeah,
Like
like, a bunch of, like,
yeah.
native languages have just been lost because of these schools, and then I did think it was interesting I actually am just gonna read this part outright, but it's that the Nez Perce tribe and the Colville Confederated Tribes of Washington and the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla sponsor Nez Perce language classes for children and adults, and that in school, um, like, on reservations still for them, that they will also learn, like, traditional crafts, legends, and stuff, and language in addition to because, it's like the bittersweetness of, like, how cool that that's available, how unfortunate that it has to be that way because, the US government eradicated their traditional way of life
Yeah.
in order to, get some land.
Well, it's similar like to how Gaelic is like slowly trying to be taught in like Irish schools and in different areas of Ireland because it was completely eradicated by like the British moving in and making the Irish speak English and kind of like how some people can speak Gaelic, but like and you can like speak Gaelic, but like a lot of people like most of Ireland doesn't speak Gaelic or like knows like a few words of it. Like
Like, parts.
so it is just like I don't know. I think like I really like these movements that are trying to bring back these languages that have been like destroyed, but it's also, like, there's so much of, like, a hurdle to think about that, like, if a language stopped, like, evolving because it was basically, like, forbidden in, like, 1800s, then unfortunately, it's never gonna be a full language again because then you're going to have to start substituting in words, like, it's like I see videos, like, of the Gaelic learners, and they'll be, like, saying something Gaelic and, like, laptop, blah, 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 you know?
Right.
They have to use the English
Because
words
it doesn't
as the fill-in when there
exist.
isn't a word that
Yeah.
was created for
It
it.
wasn't playing catch up with the
Yeah.
modernization of the times,
So
so
it's
then it
like you can
is
speak like a antiquated tongue almost, you
right.
know? It's like Latin a
Yeah.
little bit, like
Where eventually you're like, "Oh, there's just not words here that are for
that fit
this
for it,
anymore."
yeah.
Yeah.
But I do like think it's cool that they're teaching that in schools and they have like special lessons. I know I'm very interested in like the kind of reservation like stuff a little bit,
Yeah.
you know, like in the US. I feel like especially since like we don't live totally in reservation area, but like I grew up on the East Coast and so like moving out to Texas is kind of I mean Oklahoma's like all reservations.
Yeah, when I was in
That's
Minnesota
an overstatement, guys.
Minnesota and Wisconsin, have several.
Yeah.
It's very maybe we can do a little bit of, like, side research for the not the literal next episode, but 2 episodes from now. We can talk about it more because I know, like, a lot of stuff, like, in Minnesota, like the casino laws were that like you couldn't own and operate a casino, but like on like native land there was allowed like gambling and casino operation. So it's like there's all of this like really difficult stuff. But there was a bison preservation in Minnesota that was owned and operated by the Dakota people.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love bison.
It was very cool. But basically because like similarly with like overhunting and like the basically pilfering of nature, we killed the bulk of like native bison
I
herds.
know.
And
Well, they're
for
coming back, I
for the
heard.
longest time they were all hybrids.
Yeah.
Or that most of the operating herds in nature were cow and buffalo
Okay.
hybrids.
Yeah.
And then now they're going back. There are herds now that are entirely.
That's cool. I like
Yeah,
bison.
isn't that interesting?
You know, bison used to be as far east as like Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
my college mascot, I went to school in central Pennsylvania, was bison.
Really?
And I thought that was weird, but then I found out that like back in like the day, like my college was in the Buffalo Valley.
Okay.
And so it was like,
They used to be there.
yeah, they used to be there.
Damn.
Which makes sense because it is very chilly and mountainous over there. So, but I don't know. There's a lot of interesting. This is an interesting book series too, I think, because it shows like I said when we did the first episode too. It's so, and I don't mean this in like a sounding stupid way, and I'm kind of moving into like closing thoughts now, but like it's so interesting to think and kind of see through this perspective, like the humanization of like the tribes and how it was like a real society and it was like a real like functioning way of life, like which I know, but it's just a interesting look to think that like again, this is happening 10 years before the Felicity books happen. So, like, over there in, like, Virginia, the whole colony is going on, and meanwhile, Kaya's doing all this. And it's just so interesting to think about the fact that, like, I think you think of, like, the native tribes and stuff as, like, these small little tent groups that were just set up. But, like, they did have, like, full functioning societies and full territories and, like, kind of full interactions with other tribes and kind of beef and, like, alliance. It was like countries, kind of. And I think that's, like, really it's like you know that, but I always think it's nice to read things like this and have a reminder of what that's like.
I think often people forget that there is a whole history in our country on the land that we're on that operated before the country that we like live and operate in. I mean, I know people are aware of them, like you said, like we know.
I think we take it
about
for granted.
Well, and to be honest, I think there is a little bit of like a folklorization that has happened to some degree in the way that we talk about things now, in the way that we're taught about it in school. It is still kind of just like, yeah, we did bad things, but like, well, like think about even when Thanksgiving, right? And we're coming up on Thanksgiving in real life, like where we're recording. And like, oh, also, did you know that this month is Indigenous Peoples Month?
What a perfect time to start
I
covering
know.
Kaya.
I was actually thinking that. I was like, I'll have to make
to
like
do a
a
little
little
posty.
post.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh. Anyway, I think like to your point, it's easy to forget because we don't talk about it in the same ways as like if you go to Greece, so many of like those ancient buildings are still around. If you go places that are older and have history, Rome, lots of European cities, like even in like China and Japan, like all these places have visual indicators of the like history that was lived out where they are. And I think there is something really interesting to the way that we've almost lost
because of the nomadic
culture.
nature of these like tribes,
Because of
that
the
they weren't
nomadic
like setting
nature.
up like shop.
Right, they weren't
Yeah.
building like these huge like physical structures that have been like left over time where you can go to them and be like, "Oh wow, like yes, this was here." Cuz like they talk about like the long tents and things like that, but those were temporary structures that would be
Yeah.
like dismantled and taken as they moved on to
And
like
they're
the
also
next
like
place.
they wouldn't still be around.
Right,
But like
correct. So, I think to your point like it's cool to read the books because it's just so different from the other girls in a way that makes her feel very just like, "Oh, I am reading an American Girl book,
yeah.
but she's just so different."
It's just like I said, I like it because it's like eye opening in a different way. It's one of those things that I do appreciate that they're doing because it does like humanize an experience and like puts you like as the reader in a world that you're not normally in, and kind of lets you see it from kind of like that perspective, where this is like her only. Like I said, I'm still glad as we read through them that they did it pre like invasion of the whites.
Yeah,
I think it really does help these stories that it's like we're not around.
Yeah, well, I know we've talked about it before too, but I really think these books wouldn't have read well.
Yeah.
Because there's still brutality to the nature of, like, the life that they live just by, like, the nature of, being nomadic, being out in the elements, and to be honest, I actually like that this is gonna sound crazy. The intensity of what happened in this book,
Yeah.
I appreciated because it feels, like, more accurate.
No, I agree. I think it's a pretty
And that type of
intense book for kids, but I think it's like the right amount of intense.
Well, I was gonna say, and that type of intensity feels more palatable and more respectful than, like, if we were reading a book where she was getting, like, her hair cut at, like, a boarding school and, like, being punished for speaking her native language. Like, I think there's value in telling those stories, but I don't think it would have been valuable to read 6 books set in that world.
Yeah, and we'll get to that with the Dear America horrible books
We'll
about
get to that.
Carlisle School.
Yeah.
But no, I mean I like this book. I do think this is our most egregious example of an American Girl doll creating a horrible situation that she then has to like save.
Yeah.
That's kind of like I know this isn't a safe today, but that's kind of the ultimate like oops, you played yourself.
Whoopsie. Surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I thought it was a good story. I thought it kept a good pace.
Yeah.
And it was kind of thrilling.
It was thrilling.
Two Hawks needs an attitude adjustment, even in the next book.
He's kind of just annoying in the next book, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
But any other closing thoughts for you?
I don't think so. I like our girl.
All right, guys. If you like this episode, then share this with your sister who you led astray.
Share this with somebody you would tell that you're the leader and they're the follower.
Share this with the boy that you communicate using sign language with.
Share this with the person that you would debate if you care more about losing them or your horse.
And share this with your dad, who is really good at finding you.
Yeah, and say, love ya.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks,
Tota.
Dad. Bye.
Love ya. And guys, if you like this episode, please rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Comment, like on YouTube. It like helps people find us and helps us to,
Send
like,
us your
listen.
love.
And I think you guys all know that if you're like looking for a new podcast and it has like reviews, even if it's a small podcast, you might listen to
It's
it more.
easier, more
And
inclined.
like, yeah, people like are
Buy
swayed.
in.
Yeah, buy in, help us out. And thanks for listening as
Yeah.
always.
Love ya.
And we'll be back with Kaya's Hero. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.